So I was listening to something the other day which asked a really interesting question, and this was, do you want to date or do you want to restore your self-worth? And that is why you are dating. You are dating to allow somebody else to try and make you feel good. You are dating to sometimes think that if you find that relationship, it will fix you. And yes, sometimes dating and putting yourself out there can play a huge role in building your confidence. But what we don't want to get into the kind of environment of is if it doesn't work out on that date, then you feel crushed. It can feel like a physical pain. If that person isn't who you thought they were going to be, it sets you back 10 steps. So what we want to be really careful of is that your self-worth isn't dependent on meeting somebody or isn't dependent on those dates going well, because if it is, then it gives all of your power away. You will feel on top of the world when you're with somebody, you will feel on top of the world while you're dating, but if that doesn't work out, then you will feel at absolute rock bottom. And this is something that I see quite a lot. So it's why I always encourage people to work on themselves and build their confidence and build their self-worth up before looking at dating, because we don't want those kind of horrible beliefs such as you're not lovable or you're not good enough to be constantly heightened when a date doesn't work out. Feeling like you are okay, that you are good enough, that you are lovable, that you are worthwhile should be your constant. It doesn't mean that you're going to feel amazing all the time. It doesn't mean that those thoughts are never going to pop back up, but it means that you will be able to dial those beliefs down, and you have the tools to regulate that, and you have the tools to help. So I'm going to give you a few tips of how you can start to do this in every day. I'll take a minute to introduce myself before we get on to these tips, but for those of you who don't know, I am Caitlin, a love and life coach who helps people get great relationships, usually when they're single and looking for love. So on to the tips of how we increase our self-worth and by extension our confidence in a lot of areas. So a lot of the time we sometimes think self-worth just clicks and we have it, and that might be true for some people, and for some people you also might have never struggled with thoughts that you're not good enough or you're not lovable, or you know, you might have a really strong foundation and sense of self, so you might not have experienced you know, getting into a relationship and suddenly your value and your worth is dependent on that person loving you. And I fully respect that. That definitely wasn't my story, but for a lot of us, self-worth is something that we have to work on every single day. It's something we actually have to build up. So we want to be looking at what we can do every day that is a signal to ourselves that we are valuable, that we deserve to be heard, that we are seen, that we are supported, that we are loved at its kind of purest form, right? And there are so many things that we can do every single day. So number one, what we need is a bit of a baseline actually to how you are treating yourself, kind of what your standard is. And that can be everything from looking at how you talk to yourself on a daily basis, what kind of language you're using, whether you're being constantly horrible to yourself. It can be how you are treating yourself physically. Are you allowing yourself to get enough sleep? Are you going to the gym if that makes you feel good? Are you taking a moment to go outside every day? Are you eating things that make you feel good and that fill you up? You know, are you fundamentally giving yourself what you need every day? And how are you treating yourself? So once you've kind of got that awareness and you can kind of take notes of things that, you know, you're saying to yourself, language you're using, how horrible you are when you look in the mirror to yourself, those kind of things, we can then actually gently start to counteract those things that you're doing. For example, if you're looking in the mirror and telling yourself you're a piece of shit because you look really tired, actually we can start to challenge those thoughts. We can start to say to ourselves, okay, yeah, you do look a little bit tired, but does that mean you're a piece of shit, or does that mean you need to go to bed earlier? we can start offering ourselves alternatives to the language we're using and the thoughts that are coming up again and again and again. And we can then also start to tweak our behavior. For example, if we've become aware of the fact that when we don't go to bed before 11 o'clock, we feel awful the next day, it can be an act of self-love then to take yourself to bed at 10:30, or if you know that going to the gym makes you feel good, you can start building that into your routine. So those really simple steps that sometimes we forget, such as how we're talking to ourselves, our physical health, our kind of mental health, looking at all of that in a bit of a 360 way so we can get a grounding of that. We then want to kind of be moving into an area of self-acceptance and self-compassion. So, if we've noticed that actually, on the days you don't go to bed before midnight, we're tired and then we're more horrible to ourselves the next day. And let's say then the following day we don't manage to take ourselves to bed before 10:30. It can be quite a easy step, especially if you do have perfectionist tendencies, to then start beating yourself up about the fact that you knew you should go to bed at 10:30 but you didn't. So we want to be moving into self-compassion, which is allowing ourselves to not be perfect, allowing ourselves to make mistakes, telling yourself that you are good enough no matter what you do, and even if you didn't hit that goal, okay? We really want to be leaning into the kind of nurturing ourselves, the protecting ourselves, because we might have had voices in our head for years and years and years telling us that we're not good enough no matter what we do. So we need to start counteracting that. And we also want to be moving into self-acceptance. That is, telling yourself every day something you're proud of about yourself, telling yourself every day how much you love yourself, doing your affirmations, doing your mantras, really leaning into that self-love element. And I know at the moment that actually a lot of what we've talked about is kind of language and thoughts and things like that, but looking at behavior as well, what are those acts every day that is like an act of self-love? Is it getting dressed, having a shower, making yourself a really nice cup of tea and appreciating that? Is it taking yourself for a walk? Is it, speaking up on that meeting that makes you feel really good and you take note of it? What are the little things every single day that you can do that will allow you to build that confidence and build that self-awareness, and taking note of those things that you're doing? So everybody can go for a walk every day, right? But actually, if you're going for a walk and telling yourself, I'm taking myself for a walk because I need to give myself a bit of space, because actually I deserve this moment in the day where I am out in nature for 15 minutes. Those things are two very different. So we want to be becoming far more intentional about that. I would say we then also want to be really getting to know ourselves, because we can't build our self-worth or self-esteem unless we actually know who we are, can we? So we want to be looking at things, it could be really basic things such as your likes, your dislikes, what kind of foods you like, what kind of holidays you like, what kind of musics you like, what your values are when it comes to work and dating and love and your life in general. We want to be really stepping into the kind of core of who you are and enjoying getting to know yourself, because then you will naturally start doing more things that light you up. You will naturally start joining clubs that really appeal to you, or hanging about with more people that make you feel good, that align with those values, or perhaps moving into a different area of work because it feels better. So that in itself should be the kind of jumping off point for really figuring out who you are and what you love doing. And everything I've described are little steps, okay? Getting to know yourself isn't going to be done overnight. Finding self-compassion, self-acceptance for yourself isn't going to be done overnight. Becoming very aware of when you are critical to yourself, when you're not looking after yourself, isn't going to happen every night. This requires a lot of awareness and a lot of intention. I'm going to say that word wrong. It requires being very intentional with what's going on and what you're doing, which is why it can be quite a slow process. So when I'm working on this with clients, it is putting those building blocks in every day of, you know, kind of writing down what you're proud of about yourself, what you like about yourself that day, what you're excited for about that day, you know, doing your kind of doing your affirmations, doing your gratitude work, doing tiny little steps such as setting, well, they can be quite big steps, but setting boundaries, saying yes, saying no, speaking up, looking after yourself physically and properly, all those things that we ignore or we take for granted, or we say, oh, it's, you know, if I don't go outside 4 days in a row, it doesn't matter because I'm going to go to the gym and, you know, punish myself with a workout on Saturday. Those things do matter to us. So I would suggest, to sum it up, start by getting really aware of how you're speaking to yourself, how you're treating yourself, what is going on. Start to then find ways where you step into self-compassion and self-acceptance, and that can be through kind of journaling, through changing your thought patterns, changing how you speak to yourself, asking yourself what you need every day. That is a huge one, actually. Asking yourself, what do you need to hear and what do you need? Is it that you need to hear that you're lovable? Is it that you need to take yourself home after work on time for once? Asking those kind of questions. Then it is really getting to know yourself, finding out what you really enjoy, what you like, what you don't like, what lights you up, and moving towards that energy. So it's looking at who you're spending time with, you know, what you're kind of doing every day, where you're putting your energy, where you're putting yourself, all those kind of things. So I hope that was helpful and gave some food for thought. Perhaps I wasn't as structured as my usual videos, but building self-worth will really come from you, and it comes fundamentally from finding out about who you are, and what is going on inside your head, and how that kind of comes out in behavior. So then we can start to make those small and large tweaks every day. That means every day you want to show yourself that you are valued, that you are worth it. So every day find one thing, find something that is an example of you showing you that you are worth it and what you are proud of. And if you do that every day for 365 days, that's a whole year, think about that bank of evidence that you have built up, you telling you that you are worth it. Please rate, subscribe, review so I can keep making these videos, and I will speak to you all soon.